if the men are not doing what they're supposed to do in accordance to God, then what reason would the women have to follow the man?
Well, I thought you were going to say if the men are not doing what they're supposed to do according to God, how are women able to unalive the man? And if I
No,
were to answer that, I would say his seed. Use his seed against him and use his seed to destroy his community. That's how you kill the man.
Even deeper than that. This argument contingent that women aren't following men because they don't follow God, it falls apart because women aren't going to church to select the men to follow specifically. So we can't even get to this path if it cuts off right there.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute, Marcus.
Oh my
Hold
goodness.
on, because you're acting like men actually go. Men don't be in church. I'm telling you, from a person who used to go to church. My bad. Used to go to church a lot. Men don't be in church. Women are the ones in church. Men don't be in there, and the men that do be in there, they don't
Cheat.
like us. And
You
the
know
other
why?
men that do be in there be sleeping with every
They
woman
cheat.
in there.
You know
So
why?
there are no
The
quality men in church.
the
Do you
per,
know
the
why they ain't in there?
personal experience that I've had with being in church heavy as a child and then growing up, the first time that I saw the pastor and his brother outside of church as an adult, that was not the pastor I knew. That was no long that became the predator all of a sudden. Why do people think just because you go to church, you're some type of upstanding person? No, you're just standing in a building listening to words. A lot of those men are not godly men. They're just going to church. They like the way it looks. They like to be able to act like, oh, I'm a godly man. I go to church. I go to Bible study. And then what? You go and
Hold on,
drink
which one is
and
it? The men are not in church or the
So
men
wait,
in?
so
They're
wait,
human
wait,
though. We're not they're
wait a minute.
human. That's the thing. Pastors and stuff. I do go to church, and there are men in the church. The thing is, those men are married, and they go to their wives and families. That's usually it. And then we got 304s, men and women both go to church because they always talk about the church thoughts. So you have bad people that go to church. We got it. That they're not doing the right thing. But again, when we talk about pastors and people, they're human. They are human. What else? I mean, oh my gosh, you're gonna ban them if they walk with the Bible in their hand. Don't make out you being a hypocrite. They are human individuals who are preaching the word of the Bible. You do not have to look at now. Don't get me wrong. We aren't talking about if they out here commit adultery and all that other stuff. But if you see a pastor out, I've seen my pastor out before, of course at ice cream shop. But I'm just saying, they're human. That's what I cannot understand. I don't know what are we expecting out of people. I don't get it. Like absolutely nobody's perfect. I don't understand what we looking at getting. What's the problem?
This is crazy.
no,
Sweetie,
I'm
hold
not
up, Sweetie.
saying that they have to be perfect. I just
Hold up.
think it's quite interesting that to compare, like, I look at it like this. When women are saying what they don't like in men, one of the biggest things is that they're saying, oh, let's say like promiscuity or certain things like that, right? But the things that it seems like are starting to become the forefront of what men tend to nitpick about women are like kind of small or asinine. I'm not gonna lie to you. And that's just my opinion. Like there are so many platforms across the internet that are talking about women's femininity, but then men find all of these ways to be rude and disrespectful and cheat and all of these things. But the biggest problem in the world is that women don't know how to shut up when a man says shut up. She's combative. That's
Um,
your biggest argument for a
You-
woman, that she's combative, but you're a cheater and a liar and a narcissist and a manipulator, but
Look,
she's combative. She
this
should
is
combat those
the
things.
problem here. Why are you listening to those men? Of course, we all know there are radicals everywhere. Y'all listen to these men. Y'all, I mean, I'm just saying these are
Because
men.
it's not a small percent like people keep trying to say it
Most
is.
married men are not even on the internet. They're not. They're
It
with
is a
their
small
wives.
yeah.
percentage.
They're
That's
not
not a
even.
small
So
percent. I hate how people keep saying that that's a small
It
percent.
really
But if you scroll on TikTok or on Instagram for just 10
is.
minutes, that's all you will
that's
see.
that's your
That's
algorithm.
your
But
algorithm,
here's what
woman.
we really
No, it's
have.
not.
Here's what we really have. Right. Sweeney gave y'all a serious cop out, and shame on you for that because for real, women just don't want to follow men. It ain't got nothing to do with the Bible. Most of y'all are not godly any damn way. So why do we really want to go there anyway? Y'all just don't want to follow men. Say that shit. You don't want to follow men. And I dig it. If you don't, that's cool. But say that shit. Say it with your chest. You don't want to follow men. Whether he's godly, you don't want to follow him. Whether he's ungodly, you don't want to follow him. Y'all don't want to follow men. Right now, what we have is we have a government who has designed it to tear the families apart. And it's a goddamn shame that black people are the main ones to fall for it. Our families are not intact because we are disobeying the natural order. And I don't care if you're talking about Christianity. I don't care if you're talking about Islam. I don't care what you're talking about. It's the same type shit. It's a natural order. And most of us could tell. And most species can understand that too. But for some reason, us black folk want to fuck the game up and act like we don't know what it's supposed to be. And y'all don't want to follow a dude. If you don't trust him, if you don't trust in his leadership, say that shit. Don't try to say like, I'm not trying to. No, we know what you're doing. You just don't want to follow us. And that's fine. Don't. But don't get mad when you get the results that you do. When it's later in life, don't
Can I
get
ask you
mad.
a question? Can I ask a
Go
question?
ahead,
I hear the talks and I hear people, beating their chest on the internet, both women and men. But I don't think that the problem is, so when we're talking about women following all men, yes, nobody's going to follow all men because all y'all ain't that bright. But when it comes to your man, I think that most women don't mind following their man.
Bullshit.
So let me give you an example. Let me finish talking. All of the men on this channel, before your wives, did you not have a woman you dated who was a good girl who followed you? You just didn't choose her. Anybody? So have you guys ever dated a woman?
What do you mean by good woman?
Saying, so
There's
what
no
I'm
way
saying,
it's the only way you can
what
measure
I'm
that
saying-
the only way we can measure whether she was able to follow us if we shaped the relationship in a way where I was a leader and we had a direction and a vision to get to. We typically don't do that with bust downs or girlfriends. But our wives, that's when you're able to test whether a woman is willing to follow you and get in line. But some girl
that would be
you
hard
messing around with
before
on
the-
the streets.
So
Just
what
because she following you at the mall so you can buy her a purse or some shit like that don't mean that.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm not talking about the gold digger that you dated. I'm talking about a woman that you have dated, because I'm pretty sure your wife was not the first person you dated. So think back to when you guys were dating. Was there a woman who was a great woman? She just wasn't the one for you. For whatever reason, it was nothing really wrong with her. She just was not the one for you. She followed you. I mean, she didn't go.
I will say this.
Darwin, you gonna let me finish?
I understand what you're saying. You can keep going.
Okay, go ahead. As long as you understand.
I understand exactly what you're saying. I had a woman like that, but it is not consistent. And that's every woman I ever dealt with. And I might be the only one who's gonna admit. You got guys out here that's gonna stroke, they're gonna say, oh, my woman is 100% submissive. She fought. No. Women, it don't work like that. Even the wife I got. It's always gonna be a battle here and there. That's just the nature. A woman is gonna want to try you to see if you don't have any boundaries, to see if she can cross. Every woman I ever met always tested me to see if I know how to demand respect.
What?
Every woman I ever met.
So the answer to your question, Shan, is yes, a lot. And to go against the point earlier, I was not righteously godly and all the other stuff. A large portion of that time I was real bogus, and they still was following indiscriminate. Moving forward, I know Darwin put the prerequisite that it's an ego stroke, but my experience has been that if it ain't 100, it's 95% submission, and they don't really be trying me like that. It could be a lot of factors to the reasons why, but that's not been my experience where I've had to go back and forth with the women. And that is normally why when I talk, I sound like I'm on the side of the women, because I'm not experiencing women trying to put themselves in equality to a man. Specifically in this conversation, the understanding is that we're on the same level by some of the ideologies. So it's gonna appear that I'm against the women because I'm not talking to somebody that views themselves naturally as somebody I need to protect and is a subordinate, but somebody that says we're equal and let's go head to head. But in general, normally, I 100% agree with you. Most women I've come across have, when given the option, been submissive to the court.
So I'm gonna go ahead. We're gonna go ahead and move it forward. But I'm gonna say this: the men literally proved my point. Proved the point of this whole beginning dialogue, y'all. And I'm gonna explain how. When we JR, put the question back up there. How often do we use the Bible to correct men's behavior? And we just displayed right here on this panel over this whole last part of this whole last hour and a half of a discussion. We did not use the Bible to correct the men. We just only tried to use the Bible to correct the women. But hey, thank you for proving my point.